You said in 2016 that AI is going to replace different aspects of the fitness coach. And this is when you really started digging deep into like this concept of relationships. And if I remember correctly, you didn't connect those right then and there, but it was around that time where like the relationship stuff really started like, I know it was in your head, but when you really started talking about that stuff. I don't know if you remember doing that, talking about AI in 2016.
I know in my head that's kind of ideas of, I'm in the fitness industry, it's relationships. I'm also really interested in what's going on outside the gym. You know, in a bunch of different things, sex, politics, religion, foreign policy, government. Like I am significantly interested in that. So if you're in the culture, quote unquote, from the outside looking in, it makes sense that those things, you know, kind of were in me. But I guess I could back up and say, well, it's probably earlier than that, because the original Fitbot, you know, Casey and I had indirect conversation around that in Chicago.
And this is 2014, 2015.
Yeah, so it's there where it's like, because I remember saying things like, what happens when a computer can look at all of that in like 10 seconds? This is what went through my head, right? Because and it wasn't, you know, saying, oh, you know, AI is going to round the corner. Everyone knew it was going to be around the corner where computers would get to a larger level. I had read Eliezer Yudkowsky stuff and Max Tegmark, Nick Bostrom, Elon Musk's interventions. It made sense that at 2016, it was kind of like, it's a cultural moment and this is what I do. So it's like, you know, conversation.
Where was your head then as it related to fitness, and where is your head now as AI and fitness intersect?
I would like to see a lot more humans experience maximum physical potential and the beauty around being physical in nature and eating real food and changing and learning and adapting and being kind people. I would love a lot more people to find out about that. And that's why the AI kind of idea gave me hope. Now that doesn't mean that like general percentage of people are going to experience that because of AI, but I think it'll give more people an opportunity to experience that. Because the way that fitness has gone, unfortunately, the coach has gotten in the way over time, just based upon what's required of the coach for the particular design and like laying out of things that a computer could do and does do better. And there's caveats to that, you know, very small percentages of rehabilitative stuff or scientific performance or something like that. It's like, but it's very, very infinitesimal.
I think that AI might give humans an opportunity to be more human.
Yeah, if you're thinking about, I would agree with that. If it's to reflect back as to what makes them different.
Yeah,
than
and an
machine.
idea of like reallocation of time and resources.
Oh,
as well.
Okay, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
by all means.
Kind of, let's just talk about coaching. What you just walked through, right? Like, you know, the coach spending X amount of hours, you know, with their heads behind a computer and just designing training programs that are subpar, good, excellent, who cares? But they're doing that. AI can come in now. AI is here now to, it's like, okay, imagine if you had this system and this system's like, hey coach, all right, I'm going to tell you the things that need to be automated versus the things that should not be automated. And the things that are being automated, you are now going to be able to reallocate the time on those more like tactical things where your head was behind a computer and not building a relationship.
Just think of punching keys.
Yeah.
Everyone will get it. You're not punching keys.
So stop punching keys. We'll do that for you, or we'll take your punching key time down from 100% down to 5% of your total coaching time. But now what we want you to do is we want you to reallocate that 95%. We don't want you to like bank it and say like, now I have more free time. We don't want to get into free time. I think it's a waste of time. But don't use that as free time. Instead, reallocate that time to building a relationship. Now, here are some things you need to think about when building a relationship. Everything that we just talked about, right? Understanding what gets people to move, understanding not only how to get someone to their best versions of themselves, but how do you identify what someone's best version of themselves are? Those things, right? Connecting them to this this thing that this AI is building for them, right? Putting the information in so this AI can do a really good job. Because this AI thing is not going to be able to ask the questions that you can ask and be as discerning as you're able to be in those human-to-human interactions, conversations. So it's like inputs, outputs, right? It's like, coach, your job is to connect and to give this machine as many accurate inputs as possible, so the outputs continue to meet that client where they are, work with them within their capabilities, all of those things, right? So I think it's a really interesting time, per usual, overly optimistic probably, but I think if done in the right way, it could actually allow those human coaches to be more human and to realize for the first time in a long time that the things that punching the keys can't do, those are the things that are actually the most important in this like coach-client relationship or this coaching profession thing. Hey guys, just want to say thank you for watching the video and take a second to talk to you about our app, CoachRx. So we built CoachRx to bridge the gap for coaches. And what do I mean by bridge the gap? So we're looking at a couple areas in which we're trying to solve for coaches on a daily basis. Number one being communication. We want you to be able to communicate with your clients more effectively and be able to connect them to what you're designing in program and lifestyles and nutrition coaching. Number two, we want to bridge the gap and we want to allow you to create more effective and efficient lifestyle, nutrition, and exercise programs. And number three, we want to bridge the gap and we want this platform to be truly all-in-one, something that you can build your business in, run payments, understand impact metrics, the whole nine. But I want to go back to that concept of all-in-one. So all-in-one is never truly done, but that is our North Star. So we're always working to make our app all-in-one. So we will constantly innovate, we will constantly integrate, and we will constantly update to ensure that we're just getting closer and closer to that all-in-one. So I can promise one thing as well. When you get in CoachRx today, you will experience the worst version of CoachRx because we are constantly improving and making this thing better. So don't take my word for it. Go in and start your risk-free 14-day trial and let us know what you think. Yeah, I just want to get your thoughts on that idea. And obviously we've created this, right? So there's like, I don't know, I wouldn't even call it biasness, right? It's like,
no, it's important that we offer our opinions on it, and we're mature enough to step outside of what our biases are and just reflect upon. I mean, I do it with fitness deconstruction all the time, right? But it's just to make people think, you know, I'm not going to say that I don't believe in the fitness project, or it's just like, oh, have you ever challenged your brain to think over here? So there's a bunch of it's very interesting because there's a bunch of different camps. It's pretty cool actually that we are in that camp, right? The you know, the meaning that the conversations are had right now in these like secret meeting rooms, right? There was just one more recently, a big one was held in Phoenix about a month ago. It's pretty cool that we're in that room because although we're not at that level of, you know, having 1 million people listen within 6 hours to a Nick Bostrom podcast, we're talking about the same things. Where we are saying on our side, we believe that humans need to mesh with artificial intelligence, and not just come into the conversation with, oh, what's all the dystopic concepts that we're going to get into because of that? No, we've indirectly said, no, you know, we're on the side of like, this is the way it's progressing, and how can we make this thing better? And in our profession, it is important to think, though, outside of our profession, what that may do for labor and vocation. That, I think, is a little stickier. Because if you go down the list of, you know, from truck drivers to retail to fast food to et cetera, and then that list gets really long, right? Where there's not another human relationship you know what I'm saying? You get I'm going, right? Absolutely. So it's like, there's things, and why I think that's important to even think about, whether it doesn't apply to you as a coach, is back to your point. You've got 95% now, right? Just think about that in time. Are you just going to overemphasize relationship building now, right? Is that what you're just going to fill it with? And another thing you're going to have to think about is what happens when the humans get knowledge around the work that you're not putting in to program design. So now there's a whole new value proposition, a whole century that's going to be dedicated to value proposition of what I call that, what is human and what is not human. And like I tell my girls about all the time, I was like, whatever your profession is going to be, you're going to have to stick your neck out and say, I am the most human possible. Like I am really human. And the early we can all get on board with that, including coaches, those are a couple things you're gonna have to think about all that time. So you're not just reacting and overcorrecting.
Yep.
But you and I have maybe, because if based upon the prediction models, which are horrible, but some come true. In 10 years, we're gonna have a moment. There's gonna be a really interesting moment. And you and I are going to be part of that, let's call it that conversation that says, this is what we're going to have to do to recognize our value. Because that's important. Because I would spend an hour and a half on a whatever kind of design, and there was a cost to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the cost went into, what was my background? How many years of experience did I have? Did I actually have success as coaching? The actual time dedicated to that, where I sit in the market, what do coaches charge? And let's just say it was $250 for 90 minutes, I'm gonna have to think about that.
Yep.
How is that?
Yeah, putting the fulfillment stuff aside, just looking at the business aspect of this thing. Our value is always going to be in what we uniquely provide
at that time,
at that moment.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and in the future, it's going to be relationships.
So
it is
right now. It's can you uniquely provide a program design? Uniquely provide a program design. Probably not.
There's
right?
argument.
Don't hang your hat on that. Is all I'm saying. Even if you feel passionately that you can do that, because of what I said 10 minutes ago, the person on the other side doesn't value that program design as much as you do in your own brain. They don't value it uniquely as much as you do when you're hitting the keys and all of that, right? So
that's true.
Because we live in a capitalistic society, there's always the consumer on the other side. So at the end of the day, the consumer has to be the one that determines, do you uniquely provide this value? And if not, and if someone's providing it equally, you might be great, but if someone else is charging $200 less, I'm going to go with the $200 less because the value is exactly the same. It's like walking in a grocery store and seeing an off-brand thing and an on-brand thing, turning it around and saying the ingredients are exactly the same, the calories and everything are I'm going to choose the off-brand at 50% off because those things are providing me the exact same value. Right? It's I think we just need to look at that, right? That's capitalism at the end of the day, right? Yeah. Can you give something of great value at a lower cost? Yeah.
There's one thing that I took from Yukowski is because he's on the doomer side of it, but he said one thing that it just makes you contemplate. He's like, the intelligence of the computer that we're talking about, when it gets to beyond general intelligence, artificial intelligence, this is what Nick Bostrom called super intelligence. We don't even have the current human intelligence to think about what it will be capable of doing. That notion in itself scared me. I was because then that's where everyone beelines, right? It's drones taking out humans, the paperclip theory, go down this route, right?
You start looking at learning curves too.
But it's back to the simple point that you made. Imagine if currency changes. Imagine if food resourcing all of a sudden doesn't become a problem. Imagine if this whole climate alarmism is fixed over a period of 9 months, that a computer was we just got to model this and take energy from the sun, this big Dyson style thing, and just boom. And do you know what I mean? We can't even comprehend the things that could take shape, right? Yeah. So that's what gives me hope, right? Because, and the reason why I speak that out loud is that the hope inside of an AI generated concept that gives people the largest life possible doesn't involve coaches. And so like we've always talked to you about that. And you're the good strong arm to be like, yeah, you know, it's good to think about those things, but this is where we are, James. You know, so, you know, this is what's happening right now. But there's an interim in that where all those things that I just mentioned of vocation and currency and fair trade, but it'll end up in, that's why I called it optimism for hope for that, is that the let's call it CoachRx, will coach billions successfully in a maximum physical potential process. And then to tie in all of our conversation today, you know, throughout that whole process, even after I die, coaches will still be saying relationships are really important inside of this process.
Yeah.
Really important. Because inside of teaching someone, there's a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, let's wrap this one up there, if you're good with it.
Yeah, man, that was great.
Cool.
Great conversation.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Hey guys, thanks a lot for being here and watching the video. And since you're here, I'm going to assume that you're looking to improve your knowledge, improve your coaching acumen, or let's call it improve your coaching wisdom. And we have a platform that is built to do exactly that. So we built this platform called LearnRx because we saw a massive hole in the fitness education market. We saw a lot of high barrier education that was inconsistent and that was updated every decade. So we saw that hole and wanted to fill it with high quality, broad fitness education. And by broad, I just mean from a topic standpoint, whether you want to improve your knowledge in program design, nutrition coaching, lifestyle, building relationships, or business acumen, we have you covered in LearnRx. So to learn more, head over to opexfit.com/LearnRx.